Hello everybody, this is John Felt. I'd like to welcome any new subscribers to the Mershman Seed Ag Weather Advisor program. This briefing is something I do each weekend, and I usually give you my insight and analysis of what I see going on with weather or water or climate. Mainly I'm focused on the next couple weeks. So I got a big change ahead for you. I think one that you're generally going to be interested in and generally quite positive. So stay tuned. Here we go. Well, over the last week, as far as precipitation, and we really don't need any precipitation pretty much anywhere with the current flood situation, but we did get a moderate rainfall, and these are the major river basins. So this would be the upper Mississippi, this would be the Missouri. So most of it was sort of loaded on the lower upper Mississippi, and a bit in the Missouri as well. But we had such a volume of water coming down the Missouri, this isn't probably enough that's going to do much other than just sort of keep that water level high. On the other hand, we had quite a bit of snowmelt. I'll be talking about that in just a minute. As far as the number of rain days in the last 30 days, this gives you some idea of where it's been quite wet, and these are the areas in green. So over the last 30 days, areas in that darker shade of green received almost 10 to 15 days of measurable rain. At least, although we had snow melt in this area, it's been relatively dry over the last 30 days, so that's helped a bad situation from getting worse. Now, talking about snow melt, areas in orange here are showing very active melting over the last 24 hours. So as expected, we're really melting off the rest of this snow. We still have about 1 to 3 inches of water equivalent, water content, locally 4 inches or more. But with milder temperatures and just the time of year, that is going to be melting fairly quickly. So we do have a very complex river situation. We have the first flood event is coming down the lower Missouri. Here is your melting here, so we have another wave beginning to come down. Over the upper Mississippi, pretty much the entire reach here, all the way down to St. Louis and even further south, is in some degree of flooding. Areas in red, that's moderate flooding forecast. Areas in purple, that's major flooding. Those are the communities hardest hit, especially the areas, the communities in purple. Now, as far as soils go, we've really been keeping those soils quite cold in areas here in green. That's still in the 30s, even near 40 degrees, so we're nowhere close to warming those soils yet. Over the eastern Corn Belt, it's doing better. We had some milder weather, and soil temperatures have reached up into the 50s now. But I'm going to be talking about a forecast that's going to be making some improvement to soil temperatures just about everywhere. As far as soil moisture goes, areas in blue are likely experiencing soggy fields and excess moisture, so we need it to sort of settle down and not get more in those areas. Eastern Corn Belt, not so bad. I think we're fairly neutral in the eastern Corn Belt and the far western Corn Belt. Missouri looks like it's fairly equalized as well, but especially parts of Iowa, north and east Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska into the Dakotas, those areas we really do need a dry spell to let soils dry out a bit. So because of the cold air, and I've been talking about this in a lot of my weekly posts, the green up, and this is the initial budding of the lower honeysuckle and those type of things, lower canopy. You can see here blue is indicating it's running significantly later than normal. So from Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri. So it started off, Nashville, for example, started off well above normal, but it hit that cold dome and it really slowed down. I think we're going to see, when I show this in the next couple weeks, you're going to see some big changes here. It's still going to have that blue because it's later than normal, but as we get further up here, I think we're going to play catch up over the next couple weeks. Okay, so let's get into the forecast a bit here, and this is the current jet stream. The shading here is showing atmospheric energy, and when we see that, here's a weather system scooting through this weekend, producing a fairly widespread rain out ahead of it. And we look at the forecast jet stream as we go through the next 14 days. Well, what are the big changes I've been talking about? Well, we start out here with this blue. This is the polar vortex. Let's start out right here. dip in the jet stream, colder air this week. The good news is that behind it, we transition here towards the end of the week and we get much warmer temperatures pushing in to a large part of the nation, especially areas that have been unusually cold. Look like we're going to reverse that. So really looking at a change in temperature. And you can see that here. We start out here with a lot of blue. That's below normal temperatures. And we end up here as we get into towards the end of this week, all the way through next week, above normal temperatures. I want to say that again because many areas haven't seen this. Above normal temperatures over most of the Corn Belt right through the late this week into next week. Now, there'll be a couple lagging areas where there's snow on the ground up in the far upper Midwest. So it's be frustrating seeing the milder weather, but overall, that's going to be the trend. Now, precipitation, though, I wish I could say there was no precipitation over parts of the central Corn Belt, but it does look like we're going to have some more. Here's the system moving through this weekend, but it does look like there will be a chance from time to time. I do not see heavy rain, though. So even though there could be a ½ inch of rain over the next 7 days, I don't necessarily see it being heavy. Now here's a animation a little bit further out, and this gives us some idea of where we might have the more active precipitation. And it looks like this region down here could be fairly active, the south central U.S. And then it looks like we might, I'm just going to say might right now, shift from this region here to the Ohio River Valley. So it's possible, models are showing as we get into week 2 that parts of southern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio could be more active than it has been in the past. As far as the outlook goes, just looking at it here, 6 to 10 day, look at this. It's been a long time since we've seen this, right through 14 days above normal, significantly above normal, and that's going to really pump up those soil temperatures and hopefully dry out a bit across some areas. The problem we're going to have in the 6 to 10 day and the 8 to 14 is that we still have modestly above normal precipitation over these areas. Now, let's talk about the rivers a bit. Once the volume of water that's going down these rivers right now, the main stem, not necessarily the tributaries, the main stem rivers, Missouri, Upper Mississippi, once you get through your crest, that is so much volume of water. Even if we get additional rain, it's highly unlikely in most areas that we're going to near this major event that's going on right now. So keep that in mind. Okay, so here are your takeaways. The alert is a flood, spring flood, working down the Missouri and Upper Mississippi. Actually, the entire Mississippi, although it is falling in the lower reaches. Trends: April warm-up, more spring showers, and I do think we're going to accelerate the green up and warming soils as we get into April. That's this week's forecast. I hope it helps you. For any of our new subscribers, feel free to tell others about it. They can always sign up at Mershman Seeds, SEEDS weather.com. Have a great week.